Welcome to Leadership in Action. This is a brief overview of action research and how action research can be used. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are already a leader. Obviously, you are a leader if you are looking to figure out how to use action research. Action research is a way to make action happen. Action research is either research initiated to solve an immediate problem or a reflective process of progressive problem solving. It's led by individuals who work together with others so as to be part of a community of practice to improve the way the team addresses issues and solves problems. Like leadership, action research requires collective action by colleagues who believe they can make a needed change. The purpose of the change is the improvement of the organization by dealing with issues that need attention. That is what researchers and action researchers do. So, what is action research? Actually, it's quite a contradiction. Most times when we think in terms of research, we picture someone in that white lab coat in a lab looking over specimens of some kind. Action research has a part that is not in the lab, and that is the process. Okay, action has to be taking place for this to happen. So action research includes two components. It takes action and it creates a knowledge or theory about the action taken. So action research is research in action, not research about action. And the aim is to make something better. Action research includes a sequence of events and an approach to problem solving. As far back as the 1970s, there was this chasm that existed between research and practice. Research methods have become a lot more sophisticated, and they've also become increasingly less useful for solving practical problems that members of organizations face. Practitioners rarely seek researchers or their findings, and researchers seldom consult with practitioners for setting the research question. So the challenge of research in organizations presents a plethora of opportunities that are pretty unique. Conducting research in organizational context demands that traditional research methods be adapted and adjusted to fit the organizational realities. And so organizations today, we recognize we can't learn fast enough to keep up with the changing times. Let's take a look at healthcare as one example. Healthcare is constantly in the process of changing. To meet changing regulations in healthcare, usually it's a full-time job. Someone in the organization is designated to do the job. In large clinics or large hospitals, there's a physician group, and they often have a full staff to make this happen. It's their sole job to review new regulations, train the staff, to meet those regulations, anticipate upcoming ones, and that's fine if you're in a large organization. But what about the smaller ones? All of us need to be aware of what is happening in the change world. But organizations with limited resources They rely on their own practitioners within the company. Now, researchers do not have a monopoly on research. Teachers do it, scientists do it, consultants and practitioners can also do it. However, if they conduct it by themselves, it kind of remains in isolation. And then the new insights, the learning, the teaching, practices, and theory only emerge when we are doing it collectively. So the role of the researcher, we think about this as quite different. And one essential difference between the well-known scientific researcher and the less scientific approach known as action research, it's in the role of the researcher. In most scientific research, the role of the researcher is theoretically non-existent. The researcher is looking at something outside of him or herself. Participants in most of those studies act independently of the research. Researchers in action-oriented research assume a much different role. Doing research in an organization requires internal members to take an explicit research role. The researcher is part of the phenomenon under study. The researcher poses the research question based on a problem, a challenge, a disconnect within the organization. The researcher designs and conducts the research. The researcher has insights for why the phenomenon is occurring and has access to the other participants within the organization. And finally, the researcher analyzes and translates the findings of the research to contribute to scientific knowledge, but more importantly, to address for improvement within the organization. One could say that the research is personal for the researcher. Continuous improvement is ultimately the goal of every organization. This is a gradual process that happens, and it happens over time. Collaborating and involving the client, who is the researcher, throughout the whole process allows change to happen for transforming some aspect of the organization. The entire process of action research is action-oriented. The process happens from within and by those who are a part of the process. And so, action research provides the potential for meeting the challenges faced by multiple organizations today. The potential of action research has hardly been tapped into. Action research becomes or may become a descriptor for the 21st century leader. The need for innovation in organizations is constant, and it requires leaders to shape creative efforts that result in this continuous improvement. The call for innovation in the 21st century values innovative thinking as potentially powerful influence. It's quite different from the 20th century approach in which discouraged the employees working with the employer. In addition to innovation in leadership, collaborative communities of practice form a bridge between the leader and the employees. All members contribute to continuous improvement in action research. Action research studies touch on the issues that are important to the organization, whatever those issues happen to be. Recognizing that all organizations are ultimately on a path to continuous improvement, we have to examine how to do this. The L.E.A.D.E.R framework is one way to engage in action research through a step-by-step process in problem solving through continuous improvement. These 6 steps lead through a sequential process in problem solving. We have to acknowledge that this framework originated in an elementary school with students in grades pre-K through grade 8. The staff at the school noted that students easily relegated any of their problems to any adult that was available. They wanted the adult to fix the problem. The problem could be as simple as, I don't have a pencil, or I forgot my homework, or there's nothing to do on the playground. The teachers and staff recognized that as long as the staff members solved these problems for the students would be content with taking less responsibility for their own development. Thus, the development of the L.E.A.D.E.R framework. Teachers collectively use this model to teach problem-solving skills as they related to real life and everyday problems in school. Today, leaders use it to address problems in organizations. Problems can be seen as pitfalls or possibilities. Seeing a problem is one thing. Taking steps to solve the problem is a critical skill for continuous improvement in any organization. This framework addresses the steps in conducting action research as it promotes some innovation in leadership by promoting group efficacy with transformative leadership among all participants on the road to continuous improvement. And so, in following the 6 steps, look at the problem, examine what you know, acquire knowledge, devise a plan, execute the plan, repeat the steps as needed. Leaders, even those who do not have the so-called leadership position, can take the steps to do action research to make a difference in all organizations. Welcome to the world of action research.